Minnesota. I think the Bears will come back here, and I think it's going. Joe Wolf from Boston College will be on the board, and that's the guy they'll take at what's that, 25?
That was 25, and Paul, you have number 26, another Rams choice.
Andy Heck, tackle from Notre Dame. I just want to ask Willie something. You're talking about, I know you did your homework on that Pittsburgh thing. What kind of money are they talking about there with Merriweather?
Well, I was told by the Pittsburgh people yesterday that Minnesota already offered Merriweather $3 million for 4 years, so you break it out at $750 a year, and that was rejected.
That's more than you make, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not, unfortunately, it's not more than Bino makes, just for the next selection alone for Cincinnati.
Well, that's a tough one. I was going to take Joe Wolf of Boston College, so I'm going to make a trade with him, and I'm going to get Joe Wolf. And it's also, as the general manager of the Steelers, if Mike Merriweather can't get along with my owner, the Rooney, then he's impossible. I'm glad he's gone. He better pass that physical, because Mr. Rooney's the best owner in all sports.
Why did he fire his brother?
Well, I don't know anybody. I don't know about that, but it's the best owners in football.
I like the way you make all these trades.
Well, I'm going to make the trade.
If you did
I'm Al Davis, free agency. I want cable.
If you did play-by-play, you'd have a lot of fumbles and guys picking up the ball. Okay, we're down to the final selection of the first round. San Francisco, a nice place to live. Who do you want to live there?
Well, what I'm going to do is make up for Bino's trade and say I think Cincinnati's going to take Steve Atwater, a safety from Arkansas there. And the San Francisco 49ers would love Joe Wolf to fall down from D.C., but if they don't, I think they'll go with Keith DeLong, who's a linebacker from Tennessee, to round out the first round.
Okay, you want me to take a guy for Cincinnati, Ricketts, offensive tackle from Pitt.
Good. Okay, now you've got all the selections, you've memorized them. I hope you understand who we selected, because I'm not sure that we did. But we'll be back for a final word, a parting shot after these messages.
The Sports Reporters is brought to you by new Michelob Dry. One taste, and you'll drink it dry.
An historic moment during the commercial break. Bino Cook apologized for some of the things he said. Now we'll have one final parting word, and we'll start with Will McDonough.
Well, listen, I want to congratulate George Steinbrenner of the Yankees. He did something this week that's great. He's got them all scared in pro football today. He says, if you draft Deion Sanders, who is one of his farmhands in Albany, we're going to move him up to AAA next week and make it tougher for you to try to sign him. Bino Cook.
Tom Landry was a class guy, and I personally wish him a lot of luck in the years to come.
Okay, Paul Zimmerman.
I've been bothered thinking about something I said before about Willie Davis. I gave him a bum rap. To me, he's always been a good guy. There were some ball players that didn't like him at the All-Star thing. I was thinking of them, and it's something I shouldn't have said.
2 apologies in 1 hour. Ralph Philo.
Notre Dame, I went there recently. I have been to pro camps and not seen athletes like they have at Notre Dame. If Notre Dame beats Michigan the first game of the season, Bino, they'll win 30 in a row. Thanks, Lou Holtz. Or should you thank me?
And if Notre Dame wins every week, we'll be back every week to talk about it, since that's where our producer went to school. See you next week.
Jim McMahon may be on his way out via trade. Let's go now live to New York, where Chris Berman is standing by.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Yeah, everything's flying here a half an hour before the draft here at the Marriott Marquis in New York. The hottest rumor, it is not a done deal, but the latest rumor is Jim McMahon, quarterback, Chicago Bears. I think you've all heard of him. It looks like he could be going west to the San Diego Chargers in exchange for their #1 pick, which is very high, which is the number 8 overall. If that's the case, the Bears would have 4 #1 picks. But it's only a rumor thus far. We happen to have our man, Pete Axthelm. Good morning, Pete, in Lake Forest, Illinois. What are you hearing?
Well, Chris, even as we speak, Mike Ditka, Personnel Director Bill Tobin, and owner Mike McKeskey are in a meeting. Clearly, this deal is close to being accomplished. It's just a question of how much San Diego wants Steve Ortmeyer. The interesting thing to me is that yesterday I learned that Ortmeyer had offered a number of draft choices in a complicated 3-way deal, which would have gotten him Redskin backup quarterback Stan Humphries, as well as another player, in return for various draft choices. Atlanta was involved, and the punchline was Gerald Riggs goes to the Redskins. Now, if McMahon goes to San Diego, obviously that's different. on a more philosophical note, I mean, why not be philosophical on a Sunday morning, right? On that note, it's interesting. McMahon has meant so much to Chicago, has been such a part of the what the Bears have accomplished. And thinking about it this morning, when I first heard that he indeed may be traded off for several draft choices, I couldn't help thinking of my friend Kinky Friedman's great lyric, "It seems as though they raised the price of fame." In fact, let's go to Andrea Kramer. She's with Steve Zucker, McMahon's agent, and we'll see if he's any more alert about this subject than I am.
Thanks, Pete. We're here at the home of Steve Zucker, who is Jim McMahon's agent. He also happens to be the agent for Deion Sanders, Derrick Hill, and Louis Oliver, which is the main reason why we're here. But all of a sudden, it looks as though Jim McMahon's 7-year career in Chicago may be at an end. The one thing that Zucker is emphasizing is it is not a done deal. What could happen, there's many scenarios that could obviously play out. It depends on who is on the board in San Diego's 8th pick. That may have a lot to do with what the Bears actually want to do, who they want to take with what would be their first of 4 picks in the first round. But as Steve Zucker is emphasizing now, it is not a done deal, but it looks as though Jim McMahon may get his wish to get out of Chicago and play in San Diego, reunited with his former coach at BYU, Ted Tollner, the quarterback's coach in San Diego. Back to New York now.
All right, Andrea, thank you very much. And so we have certainly done enough of these drafts. There have been 10 of them, Joe Theismann and Tom Jackson, that we've done here. And every time, you never know what's going to happen in the morning. This is about the biggest bombshell that could have been dropped. Let's quickly go to you, Joe. McMahon to San Diego. Does this make sense?
No, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's a great deal for Jim McMahon because he gets to play golf, which he loves to do very much. He gets to go to San Diego, which is a very nice place to live. But the Chicago getting another #1 it just doesn't make any sense. They got a ton of #1s. That'll give them their 21st pick in the entire draft. I don't think it's a good deal for the Chargers. It's one of those deals where the player gets what he wants, and the team is only getting a quick fix. If he gets hurt and he hasn't proven he can play a full season, that means they're stuck right back where they were.
So, Tommy, you're the Bears now. I mean, now you're going to get 4 #1 picks. You had 2 last year. Still, you're a defensive player in the Chicago Bears. Isn't McMahon still your leader in some ways? What are you thinking if you wake up this morning and they tell you Jim McMahon's no longer on your team?
I don't know. I think that the controversy that started last year between McMahon and some of the defensive players, I don't think they would be hurt by the fact that McMahon would leave. Tom Sachs certainly seems like he's ready to play. As Joe has said, the last thing they need is another #1 round draft choice. He's going to go to San Diego. I don't think it's a good deal for San Diego either. I think that what it is a situation where they're going to get some leadership. They're going to get a guy who can throw the ball, but how often will he be in the game? And that's the last question every player asks on a football field.
And I think you guys pointed it out. San Diego's been looking a long time to find a replacement for Babe Laufenberg. They may have gotten there with Jim McMahon. Let's go over to Bob Lee and the freshly quaffed Mel Kiper.
I tell you what, Chris, if this deal goes down, let's look at the proposed 3-way trade that Axe had been mentioning. Washington needs a running back. They will not then have that running back. Bobby Beathard has worked a draft day trade every year for the last 9 years, at least the Skins have. They've got to go shopping again.
They really do. They desperately need a running back. Everybody knows that, and that's the position that they're looking for right now. They're looking for help in that area. So it definitely affects the Redskins. The key team here is the Bears. End up with 4 first-round draft picks. They have 4 major need areas. They're going to have a chance to solve their problems. I think it's a great deal for the Bears, and I definitely agree with Joe, which is probably the last time I'll agree with Joe all day. But I agree that it was a bad deal for the Chargers if it comes about.
What it does is illustrate the imperative need to win today in the NFL. Guys around the league will tell you you've got to win now, and this could be a win-now reach. If it happens, we don't know. Back at the top of the hour is our live coverage for the 10th consecutive year. Begins at noon Eastern time. Eric, we'll see you then.
All right, Bob, thanks a lot, and we'll update you if that trade actually comes to fruition. Stay with us. We'll see the great one who's about to take a bow right out of the playoffs, it appears, and we'll tell you what needs to happen on this final day of the NBA season to round out the playoff picture. But first, since this year's NFL draft is called Top Heavy with Talent, let's compare it with the top 5 picks over the past few years and see.
Outfielders in great demand for interviews. There are youngsters who want advice, and there are others who want just a minute of his time. After all, this is a man who has that look in his eye, and in return, he sees the world much more clearly. Kevin Mitchell can thank contact lenses.
Really changed me around. I just started wearing glasses this winter, and